On television, first the headlines. Salalah city celebrates the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Sultan Qaboos hospital as construction work continues. Oman Investment Authority launches the project of a Layla Hinu resort in the Wilaya of Mirbat in the Governorate of Dhofar. And UK Prime Minister says he does not want another national lockdown as the country likely to enter into a second wave of COVID-19. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to Her Excellency Vijaya Devi Bhandari, President of Nepal, on her country's Constitution Day. Salalah city celebrated the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Sultan Qaboos hospital, which will be among the second largest healthcare institution in the country after the Royal Hospital. The ceremony was held under the patronage of His Excellency Syed Mohammed bin Sultan Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar. In a statement to Oman TV channel, His Excellency Syed Mohammed Al Busaidi expressed his gratitude for marking this occasion and said that the construction work started 8 months ago with the capacity to occupy over 700 beds. He also added that the hospital is the only hospital in the country that is named after Sultan Qaboos. May his soul rest in peace. His Excellency Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saidi, Minister of Health, said that His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, may his soul rest in peace, had ordered the construction of this hospital and preparations for the project started some years ago. He also added that the delay in the project was due to the bankruptcy of the contractor assigned to the project. His Excellency the Minister of Health said that the new contractor had already started work on the project and has promised there to be no noticeable delays, taking into account the current situation of COVID-19. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al Saidi added that the project is the second largest project handled by the ministry after the Royal Hospital in Muscat Governorate. The inauguration ceremony for Layla Hinu Bay project, a luxury hotel facility and resort, was held in the Wilaya of Mirbat as part of Oman Investment Authority's targeted investments in the hospitality and hotels sector. The new hotel facility comprises of 112 hotel units and a number of recreational facilities. The architecture combines modern style concepts with elements from nature and heritage, offering both an ecological escape and local hospitality to its guests. In a statement to Oman TV channel, His Excellency Syed Mohammed Al Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar, said that Layla Hinu Bay will be a special addition to the Wilayat of Mirbat, Governorate of Dhofar, and the Sultanate of Oman, especially in the coming tourism seasons. The new 5-star hotel facility aims not only to support tourism in the country, but also to generate more jobs for Omanis and may support local industries. President Donald Trump touted vaccine distribution plans in a Friday news conference and pledged 100 million vaccine doses by the year's end, a promise that contradicts the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's most optimistic projections. Trump said they will have manufactured at least 100 million vaccine doses before the end of the year, and likely much more than that. The promise of 100 million vaccine doses this year represents the president's latest contradiction of his own public health agency and follows a week in which Trump repeatedly challenged CDC Director Robert Redfield about the importance of masks and when most Americans can expect a vaccine. Internal CDC documents show that under the most optimistic scenario, if the two vaccines both prove to be safe and effective on an accelerated timeline, 35 million to 45 million doses could be available by late December. If just one of the vaccines is seen as safe and effective, only 20 million to 30 million doses will be available, and if just the other vaccine is authorized, 15 million doses will be available. Britain is likely to need to reintroduce some national coronavirus lockdown measures sooner rather than later, a leading epidemiologist and former senior government health advisor said today. Neil Ferguson, a professor of epidemiological at London's Imperial College, told the BBC the country was facing a perfect storm of rising infections as people returned to work and school. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said yesterday that he did not want another national lockdown, but that new restrictions may be needed because the country was facing an inevitable second wave of COVID-19. Ministers were yesterday reported to be considering a second national lockdown after new COVID-19 cases almost doubled to 6,000 per day. Hospital admissions rose and infection rates soared as parts of northern England and London. Britain has suffered Europe's highest death toll from COVID-19, with more than 41,000 deaths on the government's preferred measure. Ferguson served the government's main scientific advisory board until May, when he stepped down after breaking the lockdown rules himself. The U.S. has deployed additional troops and armoured vehicles into eastern Syria after a number of clashes with Russian forces, including a recent vehicle collision that injured 4 American service members. The spokesman for U.S. Central Command said the U.S. has also sent in radar systems and increased fighter jet patrols over the region to better protect American and coalition forces. He added that the United States does not seek conflict with any other nation in Syria, but will defend coalition forces if necessary. A senior U.S. official said half a dozen fighting vehicles and fewer than 100 additional troops were sent into eastern Syria, and the reinforcements are meant to be a clear sign to Russia to avoid any more unsafe and provocative actions against the U.S. and its allies there. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a clampdown on TikTok and WeChat beginning tomorrow, which will prevent downloads in the United States. The order yesterday was put into place, according to Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, to combat China's malicious collection of American citizens' personal data. The government previously said that using and downloading the app to communicate won't be banned. Transactions, even although messaging on the app could be directly or indirectly impaired by the ban, and people who use it for messaging won't be subject to penalties. Some security experts have raised concerns that ByteDance Limited, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, would maintain access to information on the 100 million TikTok users in the United States, creating a security risk. 2 people were found dead and another person was missing today after central Greece was lashed by a rare hurricane-like storm known as a midicane. Hundreds of people had to be rescued from flooded buildings as heavy rain and high wind wrecked homes, shops and warehouses in regions north of the capital, Athens. Mediterranean cyclone Ioannis forced flights and ferries to be cancelled as it barreled across Greece's western islands. It was heading south towards Crete but losing strength. Emergency teams were still searching for a boat carrying 55 migrants today after receiving a distress signal a day earlier, but the Coast Guard said the vehicle may have changed direction after receiving no help. The city of Kardisata, about 300 kilometers north of Athens, was badly hit overnight with mudslides falling, trees and power cuts. Local reports said a man was found dead on his farm in the area. In nearby towns, a woman was found dead in her house and another went missing after her car was swept away by a flooded river. Still to come in our news bulletin. Al Sogra is one of the oldest villages in Al Jabal Al Akhdar that reveals the attachment of the Omani people to the land. Welcome back to the news from the Sultan of Man television. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources called all fishermen to adhere to the fishing law and regulations during the shrimp fishing season. The ministry confirmed that the commitment to the determined fishing season and committing to use allowed fishing tools contributed in preserving this national wealth and its sustainability, especially during the period of fertilization and reproduction. The ministry also pointed out that the shrimp fishing movement in the Governorate of Al Wusta during the first few weeks of the season this year is still weak, and less quantities and small sizes are being caught. The production quantity of the shrimp in the Sultanate witnessed a decline by 19% last year compared to 2018. Total investment volume of projects in Rasut industrial estate of the Governorate of Dhofar exceeded 438 million Omani Rials, with growth average about 4% by the end of last year compared to 2018. The estate also received 23 investment requests this year. The manpower working at the industrial estate increased to more than 3,600 labour. The total number of projects according to the construction phase reached 205 projects. 116 projects are completed. The area of the industrial estate exceeds 3,947,000 square metres. Inbound tourism spending in the Sultanate has increased to over 2 billion Omani Riyals in the past 4 years, part of the current 5-year plan. An increase in inbound tourism spending in the Sultanate in the past 4 years of the current 5-year plan to 2.3 billion Omani Riyals compared to 1.2 billion Omani Riyals in the previous 5-year plan, 2011 to 2015. The direct added value of the tourism sector last year recorded an increase of 4.1% to reach 717.9 million Omani Riyals, compared to 689.4 million Omani Riyals in 2018. Statistics issued by the National Centre for Statistics and Information show that the contribution of tourism to the gross domestic product in 2019 increased to 2.5% compared to 2.2% in 2018. Al-Sogra is one of the oldest villages in Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar that reveals the attachment of the Omani people to the land. More details in the following report.
Sogra Village in Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar is one of the remote villages in Oman. It is located at an estimated altitude of around 1,900 meters above sea level. Let us find out more about this village. Driving in the dirt and rocky road all the way up to Sogra Village requires special attention. Omani people inhabited this village since ancient times, building houses of mud and stones.
Sogra is a village of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar. It is an old village that dates back to more than 500 years.
The residents of this village used a suspended rope to carry their supplies. Nowadays, they use modern instruments. They also use a wooden bridge to move between the sides of the valley after walking on stone-paved tracks that were established hundreds of years ago.
We preserve this village by renovating it. Due to the high number of visitors, there was a need for an inn or a place of stay.
The serenity and tranquility of this village, besides its pristine nature, inspired its residents to carve the hard rocks to build houses, some of which have been turned recently into traditional guest houses for visitors of Sogra Village to enjoy the enchanting beauty. Among the fruit trees grown in Sogra Village is the perennial walnut tree, which is believed to be one of the oldest trees planted in Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar since ancient times. From Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar, صالح مخلفان الرحبي, الداخلية Governorate.
This is the Sultan of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Salalah City celebrates the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Sultan Qaboos Hospital as construction work continues. Oman Investment Authority launches the project of the Layla Hinu Resort in the Wilayah of Mirbat in the Governorate of Dhofar. And UK Prime Minister says he does not want another national lockdown as the country likely to enter into a second wave of COVID-19. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, it's good night.